Hello, this is Trent Chapman with Short Sale Genius, and over the last couple of weeks I've been paying attention to real estate, what's going on with other people's businesses, and I've noticed a kind of a disturbing trend. Now, I'm in the unique position of having trained thousands of agents across the United States on how to negotiate short sales, and I get emails from other agents all the time telling me what they're noticing, what they see going on with the real estate business. Now, this isn't just Southern California, but all over the nation, affecting all different types of real estate businesses, and even those outside of short sales. There's a fundamental flaw that affects the way that most people do real estate and the way they run their business. And this flaw causes them to feel like they're trapped in the real estate business. They don't have freedom, they can't enjoy their life, they don't enjoy the lifestyle they hope that real estate would give them. That's the bad news. But here's the good news. Those that understand this flaw and how to approach it with today's tactics and the things that work today and the right plan, and the right approach, can have a lucrative real estate career and actually enjoy the freedom that real estate can provide. Let's go to my computer real quick. I'm going to show you what that fundamental flaw is and how agents are getting trapped by it and how you can use that information to actually get what you want out of your real estate business. All right, here we are back at my office. Now, I'm here with Ryan Chapman, who's the co-founder of Short Sale Genius, as well as my brother. And he's going to be joining me here as we go through the fundamental flaw.
So Trent pointed something out to me really important that he realized recently, and I said, Trent, we really need to express this to everybody, and that is that everybody starts with a plan, whether you realize it or not. It may not be a well-formulated plan. You know, everybody looks at what the problem is that they see, and they say, okay,
what's the solution? What's the plan to fix it?
Right. And the next step that you pointed out to me, Trent, was that once they create the plan, the next phase that hopefully they go to is testing it.
Well, yeah, they start doing the thing that they planned out to see if it actually works. And a lot of times, if they don't have any idea of if the plan's going to work or not, it really is a test. Sometimes you can see from other people's experience what they've done. It's been successful, it's worked, they've proven it. A lot of times we try things that other people say work, and we're not really confident that they actually know what they're talking about or that it will work for us in our market.
So we got to test. But the problem that I've seen, and you've pointed this out, is that often when people start to test, they're not patient enough to work towards results. And so they don't see the results that they're going after, and as a result, they go back to planning.
Now this is the fundamental flaw I mentioned a second ago. Now the fundamental flaw in most people's business is they never get past the planning and testing stage. They keep going in this cycle of, okay, what should I do next? I'll try it out for a couple of weeks. I didn't see the results I wanted, I'm going to go back to the plan or the next shiny object, the next cool software, or whatever the case may be.
Well, and you actually point out something really important there, which is it the plan, or is it the lack of patience and testing, or is it really both? And I would say the answer is both.
Yeah, it can be both. In some cases it's one or the other. A lot of times it's both. But really, you can't really know this unless you've talked to someone who you can trust, who's honest, who's giving the real world experience versus just selling you something.
Right. So, but this is where it gets interesting, Trent, is because if I'm going off a plan that is a plan that's not good, a plan that doesn't work, a plan that solved problems in the past but doesn't solve the problems of the present, and then no matter how long I test, even if I'm extremely patient, if the plan is wrong from the get-go,
it'll never work.
It doesn't matter how patient I am, I'll never see the results. And so even if I'm a really diligent person, I test the whole plan out, I'm going to be frustrated in the end. And so I'm going to have to go back to the plan stage. So how do we break this cycle? Because this is a real cycle for a lot of people.
So here is something that we got to keep in mind. Even if you have a good plan, but you don't give enough time to test, you'll never know that that was a good plan. So give yourself a couple months to try out a new process or a new plan that you've implemented in your office or in your business. And if after a couple months it doesn't prove out, it's obviously not a good plan. You got to go back to the drawing board.
Now, Trent, this I think is part of what causes this fundamental flaw, is that most people, if you were to go to them today, don't feel like they have 2 months to try out a plan. So you kind of need to be able to identify a plan that has, like you were saying, that you know because the person who's sharing the plan with you is somebody that you can trust, is a fundamentally good plan. So you'd want proof, you'd want details about how that plan works, and you'd want that plan very clearly laid out so that you could follow it.
Let's use an example so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. I may be talking about your plan for generating new business or a plan for doing short sales. It doesn't really matter. The point is, I need to have a plan so that I can test out the process and the system. And once I've done that, I've passed the testing phase, then I need to go into the systematized phase. So that means I'm going to test something out. Once I've proven that it works, then I need to place a system in place so that it's repeatable and it's duplicatable.
Yeah, this is really important because moving past the testing phase and the systematized phase is what sets you up for getting closer to freedom. That's really what you laid out for me when you explained this concept, which was a pathway to freedom. So once you've systematized it, what is the natural next step?
Well, if you want to get freedom and true freedom from your business, let me give you an example. Next week, I'm going to go out of town on a vacation with my family. But the only way I can do that and keep my business running is because I've delegated a lot of the stuff in my business. So I have a couple closings next week. I don't have to be here. I'm not even worried about the closings happening because I have a good team who I've delegated my tasks to, who follow my system I put in place. So I had to create a plan, test it. Obviously, this took me a while to get short sales working right. Once I got that right, now I had a system in place and a process. I was able to teach other people and delegate those tasks and pay them less than it would cost me to do it myself, while I focus my time on improving my plan and improving my business and going to the next thing. So this is what really creates that freedom, is when you go from planning and you have a good plan, a solid plan, and you've tested it, given it a couple months to make sure it works, versus saying after a week, this doesn't work for me, or before you even start, some people say, this isn't gonna work in my market, and then giving up on it and starting over with another shiny object, another cool feature, another website, another lead generation tool, instead of actually sticking to a plan that has worked for other people. So this process right here is what brought me freedom in my real estate business. So I'm not tied down every day to come into the office. I can go away for a couple of weeks, come back, and my business is still going and growing.
So the fundamental question then that you need to really get to freedom is answering this question: is the plan good? So if you don't have a good plan, then it doesn't matter how hard you test. You'll never get to systematize because you're stuck there. You'll never get past systematize to delegate, and as a result, you'll never really get to true freedom. And so you'll always be frustrated. You'll always be sitting there wondering what is wrong with you, when in reality, the problem really was that you had a bad plan. And so the key to success is to have at first a good plan, be patient enough to test it, then systematize the components of it, delegate, and then gain real freedom. But like you're saying right here, Trent, what you're doing really well is you've got your short sale system working like
clockwork.
Yeah, it's easy. So you have freedom completely from that portion of the business. But there are some other portions that you still are at the test and systematize phase on, like in your lead generation, your marketing. So you've taken a plan, you've been testing it, and as you test different parts of it and see that they're successful, you've moved to systematize, but we haven't fully delegated those out.
Now, a lot of people might say that, well, Trent, don't you have a successful business? Well, yeah, I do. I have 30 listings right now, just as myself as a single agent with an assistant and a negotiator. But I know I could do more if I had a better plan for my marketing. So that's been working with Ryan on that, and we've actually been testing some stuff that's really cool. I don't like to share things until we've actually proven them out, made sure they work. And so I'll be talking about that later on. But the point is, since my business flows like clockwork when it comes to the short sales and negotiations, I don't have to worry about that. I have freedom from worrying about negotiations. I still have to step in every once in a while and help out, but the bottom line is most of my time is not focused on that. Now I get to focus on building my business and lead generation and lead conversion.
Okay, so one thing you mentioned earlier before we got to the computer here was that you were going to show people not only what the fundamental flaw was, which is that they don't have confidence in their plan enough to test it through and get into the systematize and delegate phases. Earlier, Trent, you mentioned that the only reason that you were going to show this whole fundamental flaw is so people could take advantage of it. Because it's great to know that there's a problem, that you have to have a plan that you're very confident in before you start testing, systematize, delegate, and get to freedom. But where do you find that plan? And that's where our September event in Las Vegas is all about. What we did is we took advantage of the leverage that we have of having access and interaction with thousands of agents across the country through our training through Short Sale Genius, and really kind of surveying them and asking, what is it that you're really good at? And we were able to grab some of our Short Sale Genius members who are doing really well at some key components of what we consider to be the master plan. What we've done is we've pulled together, with all those resources that we have, people who have done really well with certain components of the real estate business. And we've pulled them all together. We've created what was originally labeled as our master plan. And so we've never shown this master plan to anybody. It's been just Trent and I that have looked at it, worked on it, and addressed it based on what we've experienced and our unique perspective having worked with all these different agents across the country in various markets. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to show you for the very first time what that plan looks like. Here's our master plan. Across the top, what you're going to see here is all of our various lead generation techniques that we've seen, what's worked. Below that, as you go down, there's some brute force activities that are very common that we cover, and then a lot of follow-up mechanisms in order to make sure that the transactions actually get converted into listings. Here you'll see in this little area, this is the Short Sale Genius system. We have people already for all of these various items that are marked out here in red, and we have systems that we already have in place in office for all the areas that are mapped out here with colors behind them. The yellow represents what we're doing in our marketing efforts. The purple is our follow-up, which is addressed in some of our programs that we have. The green is actually Short Sale Genius. You can see it's kind of a small part, an integral part. That's the whole motor that runs the whole thing to make sure there's actually money being made in the real estate business. So it's key and integral, but it's very small compared to a lot of the other moving parts. And then we have in the orange box there what we call the second wave, which we're really excited to be talking about because we feel like that's just coming into its prime now. And then we have the red area, which is all about our referral generation and systemization techniques. So this is the master plan. We're really excited to be going over this for 2 days in Las Vegas on September 8th and 9th. We'd like to invite you to come and attend with us. It's going to be really neat because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting that master plan that we talked about.
Now, a lot of people might look at this and get overwhelmed, but here's the point. You don't need to implement every single thing you see right here all at once. And actually, I suggest that people take the time to map out a plan, to implement what's most important right now in your business, and over the next 3 to 6 months, implement this plan in stages. That way you don't get overwhelmed. And we have some tools and some other things we've put together that we use in our office that actually solve a lot of problems that I've had with my business that we're going to share with you as well. So this isn't something that you're going to need to look at and feel like, man, this is a lot of work. There's a lot of steps and stages to doing real estate, and to converting leads and getting leads, and to generating more business in the future from referrals. This is an overview of what we're going to talk about, but you don't need to feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, now that's a very good point. Something that I hope you see when you look at this is an overarching plan, which is really, really important. A lot of people that I've met in real estate, they're doing really well off and on. The big problem that they have is they don't have a big picture. They don't understand all the different pieces, and so they go from piece to piece, never actually getting to the systematize, and as a result, never getting to the delegate, because they're always in plan and test or plan and work. And so they know little pieces of it. In fact, if you sat them down, they probably could put together quite a few of the pieces, but because they don't have them all together in one place, they never really get to that next level. And so they always seem like they're struggling. And so that's what the master plan is all about, is helping you to see everything in one place and really be able to identify, okay, I'm really good at this part. I need to improve implementing this part. And that way you can take it step by step, piece at a time. And like Trent said, his short sale program, you know, what he's got going, he's got all the way to freedom level on that. But there's some other parts where you're still building out those systems and you're getting the delegation set up so that you can really get the full freedom on all fronts.
And have the growth that I want, because you can have freedom and be just fine. Like I could be fine with where I'm at right now with 30 listings, but I want even more freedom and actually more revenue and income for myself. And so I've set higher goals, and you might be fine with 30. That's great. You can take this plan and do that. Or you can take it to the next level if you want and get 50 to 100 listings and have the pipeline that you want.
So that's what this is all about. We love to have you join us in September. We think it's going to be revolutionary for the people that attend because it's going to give them an opportunity to actually look fully at the business and make their own plan on how they can move from plan, test, and get there. But more importantly, as you see where the red circles are, and we'll be adding more red circles, you're going to be able to get proof that these things are working for other people. And that's really, really important because you have to have confidence in your plan if you're ever going to move from past test and then to systematize and delegate. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. It's been a lot of fun for us to make. If you're interested in attending, there's really no more information that we have about the event other than what we've shared in this video. So just go ahead and click on the link below. It'll take you to the registration page. There's a few more details about where and when and what times. Follow that link below if you're interested in joining us in September, seeing how you can get your very own master plan.